And just a short while ago, I spoke to CNN correspondent Darryl Forges in Minneapolis, ground zero for the protests, where a few days ago, his colleague Omar Jimenez and his camera crew were arrested by riot police while reporting live on air and despite clearly displaying media credentials and complying with police instructions. Tonight's curfew has passed, but some protesters are still on the street with a police helicopter buzzing overhead. So far, only one of the 4 officers connected to the death of George Floyd has been charged. Darryl spoke to me just metres away from where George Floyd had his neck knelt on by police. I asked him what's happening to the other officers involved.
Derek Chauvin, the police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck, is in custody. He was supposed to face a judge today, but he will now face a judge sometime next week. Now, as for the other 3 officers, according to the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, those 3 officers, they have not been charged yet, but they're expecting to have charges coming up on those 3 sometime in the very near future.
What has been the reaction to President Trump's comments today? They were very strong, talking about law enforcement, putting armed military on the streets and quelling the unrest if local authorities did not. How have the protesters and people generally reacted to that?
Well, you know what's interesting is that the people out here haven't really heard the news. They've been focused on protesting for George Floyd. Now, I've spoken to other people who actually watched the president's speech earlier, and many of them are up in arms at trying to figure out exactly what is the president trying to do, because the big question is, can the president legally do that? But we remember from back during the coronavirus pandemic, or during this pandemic, the president talked about if the governors didn't want to do what he wanted them to do, then he was going to put something in place. But legally, from the Constitution, he could not do that. So now, moving forward, some governors, as you can imagine, are upset at what the president is trying to do. But many are saying they're going to fight it legally because they believe the president cannot do that.
We have seen quite violent scenes from these protests and police engagement with protesters, but it's not just the protesters, it's the press as well. So your colleague was arrested too. What did you make of that?
And I wonder, Lisa, forgive me if you do, there are police officers coming towards this area to try to flee from to get rid of the crowds here. So if you lose me, I apologize. But seeing Omar arrested, it really hurt me because Omar is the consummate professional and he's also a dear friend of mine. And to see what happened to him really hurt me watching him be arrested for no reason. As a black man in this country that I am myself, as an African-American man, seeing him arrested really brought back some flashbacks to what happened to me in my past when I was racially profiled for no reason. So to see what happened to him really hurt me, but the way he handled it was incredibly professional. I'm so proud of him. But it also showed you that when it comes to black African-American men in this country, that there's still a lot of injustices. And so that's still a big concern. So right now, I'm proud of him, but I just wish things could have been handled a little bit better.
Tell me what's going on right now. You say that the police have arrived.
Well,
what are they doing?
Right now people are coming back towards me. The police apparently is on the other side. So that's kind of what's happening right now. I see people coming towards me, saying that the police are coming. So
protesters coming towards you, Darryl?
Are police coming that way? Are the police over there? Okay. Okay, thank you. Some people were telling me earlier that they saw some police officers the other way because they're fully enforcing the 10 o'clock curfew. That curfew started about 20 minutes ago, Lisa. So at this point, the people here are just leaving and going to another direction. But now the big question is, when will law enforcement show up to enforce this curfew? So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens. A couple of days ago, when officers were enforcing the curfew, Lisa, my colleagues and I actually got maced and pepper sprayed by law enforcement. Even though we showed them our credentials that we were with CNN, they had none of it. They still wanted to spray us and get us away. So at this point, law enforcement, they really don't care. They're just trying to fully enforce this curfew.
So, as you say, curfew has passed already. What's the attitude of the protesters to that curfew? Do they care?
I don't know. I mean, for our safety, we have forms, just in case police ask us to leave, we have forms that showed that we are allowed to be out during the curfew. But the protesters say they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to keep protesting. They're going to keep having their voices heard until all four police officers are in custody.
And that is CNN correspondent Darryl Forges reporting there from Minneapolis.